For the people that don't know, Roham was the one that put on the event for STR Nation. 150 people came out. Roham was the man behind the scenes. He's our event planner / coordinator for that event. And I've gotten to know him a lot better. He's a young hustler. I believe he's 24 now. 24?
Just turned 25.
He just turned 25. And he's just been grinding in real estate. He teaches a lot of really young investors on how to get into real estate. And he just has a pretty good portfolio and a good head on his shoulder. And I really just wanted to bring him in and talk about really how he got started, his story, and his coaching and some of the things that he sees when he coaches. And obviously, I think I want to really hone in on the events and how you can really power your networking through events. And he's been doing events for Ryan Pineda as well. So he's got a lot of experience with putting on 700-person events, just real estate investors, and having people pay for that and organizing all the logistics that go into it. So I am so freaking excited to announce you, and honestly, yeah, pumped to just have this discussion.
Thanks so much, dude. I appreciate you. And yeah, thank you for all the kind stuff you said. Like you said, my name's Roham. I'm a real estate agent and investor and coach in Las Vegas. I'm 25 years old. I've been really in real estate since out of the last 6 years, right out of college. Well, I was in college even. I got in at 19, and this has just been my passion, and everything I've been doing has fully been focused on real estate and helping other people get into real estate. And Patryk, your mission aligned so much with mine. I was like, we got to work together, and it just worked out great throwing your event. It turned out awesome for your first event. We had, over 100, almost like 140, 150 people there. Great guest speakers. You guys did an amazing job with that. And people came away with a lot of mindsets, motivation, a lot of knowledge that they're going to go implement to help them start their businesses. And it's cool, man. We get to really help people change their lives and actually break into an industry where they can make more money and not be tied to what a corporate job can pay them and what the salaries and bonuses look like for just a typical corporation, and really create freedom for these guys, both financially, time-wise. And that's something you and I are both passionate about. So it's cool to get to share that with other people. And yeah, that's my whole mission and what I love to do. And been working with Ryan for his team for the last couple of years, and slowly starting to phase to work more for myself a little bit, and still always be involved with helping cool communities like Future Flipper and STR Nation, and just making you guys grow and impact more people.
Yeah. And it's very impressive. You're young, you're 25, you're around my age, but you've been helping put on crazy events. You've done real estate yourself. You teach other people real estate. And that's what it's all about. It's just giving back the moment that you can. And one funny story I will say is the event was amazing. It was flawless. And a lot of people have mentioned that. Now it's thanks to you, Roham. And for the people that were at the event, this is a funny tidbit. Roham just started at one point. We didn't really have a set schedule per se of what we're going to do. And I had no idea what was happening. And Roham just started going off on this motivational speech. And I was starstruck. I was like, what is going on? I don't know what's happening, but he's just spitting fire. He's just really just giving his heart out to the whole community. And he just impromptu just threw together a little tidbit presentation of how motivate and inspire people. I thought that was really cool. And it was one of the memorable parts of the conference for me personally, because it was just like so out of the blue and it surprised me. I was like, wow, you can actually speak like that? What? We got to get you on stage. So got him on the podcast. I had to. And yeah, man. So let's dive into like your story and your background.
I was born in Iran. I moved to the United States when I was about 1.5 with my mom and my unborn sister. When we moved here, a lot of my mom's side of the family was already in the States. So that was really nice. And we got to come join a lot of her family and grow up here with them. And it was great up until a certain point where a lot of things in my life started getting weird. And it was around like middle school where my mom got really sick. And eventually myself, I got Crohn's disease. And so I got really sick myself in middle school. And then both at that time as well, her and I got deported. So her and I were immigrants that moved here. We hired an attorney to help us with getting all of our stuff to become citizens and get visas to stay here and get our green card. And the attorney she hired lost his license, and she'd been paying him for a year or two after, just because the dude was like scamming her for money to figure out what to do next. And eventually we got deported because he wasn't doing anything. And so my mom lost her job. She got even more sick. I myself was just going through a hard time with just trying to take care of her and help the family. And so after a while, when she got deported and left the country, my main goal was at around 15 years old. I was like, okay, a deportation takes 10 years. In 10 years, you're finally allowed to apply to get your mom back and try to get through that whole process of immigration and get her a green card and get her the process of getting her back to the States. And it was like, okay, if I really want to get my mom back here, I need to be at a point financially and be successful enough by the time I'm 25, because I was 15, 10 years later would be now, to be able to provide a life where I can hire an attorney myself and make sure that they're actually doing the paperwork and get her back here. And thankfully, January of 2022, that was officially 10 years. And so we started the process. We applied for her to come back. And now it's just an immigration thing. And honestly, without real estate, I would not be in that position, because I started making over six figures at around 23. And I was only able to do that thanks to the real estate industry. And it's helped me accomplish my goal. And I'm still working on accomplishing that goal, but I'm getting closer and closer every day. And now it's so cool that it's helped me. Now I just want to help other people make that first step too, whether it's just breaking into six figures or doing something for their family to help them really.
And that's a powerful why. Getting your mom back and doing that drives you, and that's admirable. So with that being said, what's going on right now? Are you coaching students? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, so currently I'm a coach for Future Flipper. I've been coaching with them for about a year now, and I do a little bit of investing myself. Like I'm working on a flip right now, and then I'm an agent as well here in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Do you wholesale?
I don't wholesale a ton. I used to, just for Ryan's team specifically. For next year, my main focus are going to be probably doing more BRRRRs and then also getting into like seller finance.
Got it. Okay, cool. And so what's your reasoning for being with students and giving back? What's really the why there? Because it really doesn't inch the needle forward for getting your mom back per se.
And for me, it was more just that I have a passion for helping people, education. Like it's always been something that I've always been passionate about. And it's cool. Like we get to help people quit their jobs, actually make money in real estate and transform their lives and take their family on their first vacation, because they've always been working as 40, 80-hour week employees. And they've only gotten the 10 days off per year that goes to sick days and all that stuff. And so that's the cool part. Like I've seen the amount of people that Ryan's been able to help. And like, for me, I'm way more passionate about helping people than real estate specifically necessarily. It's just more what real estate can do for people that's really driven me to it, and helping people break into this. It's amazing. We get to help transform lives. And there's not a lot of industries you get to do that, where you actually make an impact directly on like someone's bank account, on their tax return, and they can go buy nicer food. They can go get a nicer house. They can go take a nicer vacation for their family. I get to help people do that at a young age. That's one of the coolest things in the world. So for me, that's the passion of it. And it doesn't align with my goals as much. Like I could definitely make more if I just coached myself or just did real estate full time and just went all in with it. But it's the passion and balancing like your passion and your purpose. And so like my purpose is definitely teaching people. I have a passion for real estate in general and just helping people with it. But that's my overall kind of mission. Just help more people solve their goal and achieve that dream of, hey, I'm doing this so I can retire my grandma. That's what a lot of people want to do, take care of their parents or take care of their grandparents. If you're serious about, that's what will push you to go and put the work in, because that's where most people struggle. It's like they'll go on YouTube, they'll go watch Bigger Pockets, they'll go learn from guys from you. What do I need to get started? And they're like, man, it's a lot of work. And it's, dude, what's going to get you through that work is the why. It's I'm only willing to do this work because it's going to get me to be able to help my mom, retire my parents, provide that life for me, my family, my kids, my wife, right? And like the why is so important. So that's why, like, for me, sharing that is a big thing with my students. I'm like, what are you doing this for? Because if you're just doing it for you and to make more money, there's tons of ways to make more money, right? But like to be successful at real estate, you probably agree with this. You have to become the best version of yourself, right? You need to be someone who's going to be very professional and be able to work on yourself as a person, work on your business, and also like learn how to manage people. And if you're not able to do that, you're going to need to be a better leader and a better person that people look up to and people want to be led by. And your communication skills, your leadership skills, that all falls into that. So for me, it's like helping people overcome the hard part of the first year of getting into real estate. That's what I love, because then they're like, wow, I did it. I changed my life. I did the thing I thought I could, but I just need help. That's so cool.
It's awesome. And there's no better feeling than getting somebody out of their job. That I've helped over a dozen people personally, and it's awesome.
It's awesome.
For the people that don't know Ryan Pineda and what he's all about, can you maybe explain about Future Flipper, Ryan Pineda, and how you work with them?
Yeah, I met Ryan, which is a cool story, but through my college, essentially. I got my real estate license. I was at a brokerage I didn't like, and someone in my fraternity actually started their own brokerage. And so I went and joined that brokerage, and his business partner was Ryan. So he introduced me to Ryan. Ryan was nobody at the time. He was just a small local real estate flipper in Vegas. He just had his biggest year yet where he flipped about 50 homes. And he was on pace to try to flip 100 homes that year. And they were looking for more guys to work with them and their brokerage and also Ryan's acquisitions team. And so I started out working with Ryan and his team. And then from there, this was like 2017. Ryan blew up and started doing 100 deals a year. He really started a few companies like Future Flipper and some other successful ones that he's got now. But now he's just an influencer, really, who helps people with the same thing that I have passion for, just helping people create businesses, create wealth, get out of their jobs through real estate or other business ventures. And that's his whole mission. You can go find him on social media. He has amazing content that can help you guys with getting started in real estate. And yeah, go check him out.
Yeah, who's going to do these jobs, these corporate jobs, if everyone's trying to leave?
Good question. And the thing is too, it's like, it's the why, right? Like for me and you, we have our whys that motivate us to go start our own thing a little bit and be on our own. But with my team at Future Flipper and Ryan's teams in general that I've worked with, a lot of these guys, their motivations and their whys are like, I really want a career that I'm passionate about and that can provide a good life for my family. I don't need to take over the world. I don't need to flip 100 houses a year. I just want a good job where I have the financial freedom for me, because financial freedom is different for everybody, right? For you and I, it's probably a much bigger number than what most people would consider financial freedom. And that's the cool thing, is like, there are people with those right goals. It's the hard part is finding those people that their goals align with your goals, and their goals can definitely accomplish what you want to do, and you can pay what they want to get paid and accomplish one big goal together. And so
Right.
That's the key of that, is just finding the right people. And what most people do is they start with their friends and then they don't qualify them enough or train them enough and treat them like a boss. They're still friends, right? And so it's like, when it comes to business, dude, like, this is business. We got to be straight and honest about what needs to get done, what we're going to accomplish. And if you don't hold up to your end, I have to hold you accountable to that. And if either of us don't do that, we have a failing relationship as employee and boss, right? And so that's why, like, finding the right person is so important. And sometimes for me personally, removing familial attachments can kind of help with that, because when it's my friend and family member, I want to be nice to them. When it's just an employee, it's, look, this is the job.
Yeah, and there's a huge difference between having a friend versus having a business partner. Having a
sure.
business partner, you're married. It's not, you're always with each other through the thick and the thin. It's
100%, dude.
you just got to go through it, and you can't be with somebody that you can't work with, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Dude,
And
100%.
that's totally fine.
Funny thing too on that, I think, is like, you figure out partnerships don't work into the process. I see a lot of like our younger guys start with another 18-year-old kid who like, hey, me and this kid are going to partner on real estate investing. It's like, okay, good. What are you guys good at? And he's, we're both good at sales. And what are you guys partnering for? You both should go hire and partner with someone who's good at like operations, right? And if they both did that, they're probably going to get way more successful than just trying to work with each other on sales, right? So it's like, finding the yin to your yang a little bit is huge on the partnership. And I think Ryan does a really good job with that, like finding the right guys that kind of counterbalance him out. And I think a lot of people struggle with that when finding their first partner, especially like, you see it all the time. People get into bad partnerships. I have people who get into the program. They're like, yeah, I just lost this partner. We built the business together and now we're restarting our own businesses separately. So you gotta be very careful with who you partner with.
100%. And that's why I chose Stephanie. I'm very confident in Stephanie, and
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to Stephanie Figueros.
Stephanie too, because running the event with you and her was incredible. You guys are great partners. You know, you guys know your goals, you stay in each other's lanes, you hold each other accountable, but you also don't, you identify like, hey, this is something that Stephanie's really good at, go to her and she can help you best with this. And she'll do this stuff with you where she's, hey, Patryk's amazing at this, go to him and he can help you with that. And like, having that yin and yang with you both, it made throwing your event so much easier.
Oh my God, yeah.
You guys
Because
have a great-
Stephanie's a lot more organized. She's got her system down. She knows what she's doing, and she's a little bit more, she's more down to earth in the sense that like she's more grounded. That's the right word. And then I'm more in the clouds. I'm like,
which the counterbalance is great.
it's good. It's good to have that balance.
Really
But
that first one too, and I think it was amazing. So I
yeah,
agree.
100%. So let's talk about the events now.
Mhm.
How did you end up getting into events for Ryan, and then eventually how did you come along to do all these events? What's the process of doing all these events?
Totally. The funny thing is, it started with just me and Ryan building his coaching company, Future Flipper. And as part of that program, students that were in his coaching program would get quarterly masterminds. And so our first one was just me, Ryan, and like 10 people. And it was us, 11 or 12 of us at Ryan's house. And so we just made our first mastermind. It was like one day at Ryan in Las Vegas. They spent like half a day at Ryan's office meeting Ryan's team, the other half of the day brainstorming and masterminding at Ryan's house. And we got lunch and everything for everyone there. And we would have each of the students share like, hey, give us one thing that you're doing really well and one thing that you're struggling with. And let's try to see if we can give you feedback as a group on what you're struggling with. And if anyone can, implement that one thing that you're doing really well and improve on that with your advice. And so that's where it started. And then the next one we did, where we were like, outgrew Ryan's house. Like, we need to start doing these at our office. Eventually we outgrew our office. We need to find an event space. Eventually we outgrew all the small event spaces and we started to have to do them for hotels. And it was more of a gradual progression, which most event coordinators, it's not like that. Like, you don't normally get to throw a 10-person event and then that one becomes a 50-person event to a 100-person event to a 120, 30, 40, 50-person event to a 200 to a 400 to a 500 to a 700. So like, for me, it was a natural progression with our company and our events. And that just allowed me to see what it took from a small level and then gradually what we need to do to get to the next level. And then eventually now we throw huge conferences, like we just threw one for 700 people and we're about to throw another one in January for 1,500 people.
Crazy.
Insane. And like, eventually you realize like they're all the same. It's just more steps. But
Right.
events are amazing too, just because I really think three things are amazing. If you've never been to a real estate event, there's three things you can really get out of them. The first is the actual education. Not every event has great education, but the ones that Stephanie and Patryk's event, any future flipper events to check out, they really try to push the education and make sure it's very quality information, quality speakers coming to share really actionable stuff for you guys. The second thing is going to be the networking, actually getting to go surround yourself with people in that industry who are a couple steps ahead of you, a couple steps behind you. And so you can get help from each other. And then lastly, it's the motivation, because like you've probably experienced this, but like real estate takes a lot of work. It's not easy and it's simple, but for the most part, there are times where we all want to pull our hair out, and we've had deals where it's great. That was easy. It was just like picking something up and putting it down. But there are some deals where it's like pulling teeth, right? And like the thing that pushes us through to get to the next level and solve the problems that we face is being surrounded by people that are also motivated to do that too, right? And it's like, why are we all motivated to do this? Because we can eventually hire the person that's going to deal with these problems. And then I'm going to be able to remove myself from that part of the business. And that motivation to remind yourself like, hey, you're not going to be dealing with this forever. That is nice, because like sometimes we forget about the motivation of what got us into real estate in the first place. And so surrounding yourself with people that are motivated to improve their lives, improve their business, and get to the next level, that's the best part of the events for me, is just surrounding yourself with the right people, getting the education you need, with the motivation for the experienced guys that want to take it to the next level, but are having a hard time mentally. And so those are the three cool things you can get out of going to a real estate event if you've never been to one. Something else that's cool is, besides just big conferences like Patryk's and Future Flippers, the smaller events, like networking events, like the one we're talking about planning for short, STR Nation, and doing once a month. Those events are really powerful too. Now, you might not get the education because usually these are more networking focused, but how important is networking in real estate? It's one of the biggest drivers for what we do. And if you're able to go connect with, if you're brand new to real estate, 5 people who are in the game and doing deals, you don't think you're going to learn a little bit about how to do deals? And then also, if you want to learn about how to do Airbnb, well, if you're going to Airbnb events, you don't think you're going to learn a little bit about how to do Airbnbs, right? So it's almost like shortcuts. And the shortcuts are, hey, Patryk's going to tell you all the mistakes he made when he bought his first couple Airbnbs, so you don't have to make those same mistakes too. And like, the community is what allows you to get into that and ask questions, because we can all watch YouTube, we can all do online research, but we get stuck because we're like, what happens if I buy a house and then this happens? And then what do you do in that situation? And then you just don't know who to ask. But if you go to events like these, you're going to surround yourself with those people who can answer these questions for you. And if you've never been to an event, you should at least try to go to a small local networking one. Usually they have very cheap or free kind of events like that in your local areas. Go check like Facebook groups, Eventbrite, meetup.com, stuff like that. And then if you can, go to some bigger conferences if you're really ready to take it to the next level.
Yeah. And a lot of people pay a lot of money for mentorship, and mentorship's great. But if you don't have the money for mentorship, then networking events is everything.
Also,
It's huh?
mentorship's expensive. Events
Oh
for the
yeah.
most part are cheap.
Yeah, they're not. You get individual attention, but here's the crazy thing, that so I put on events all the time, and I also have people that get my time in my calendar, and I'm just going to probably screw myself on this, but I pretty much I'm at the events. If you really want to talk to me for completely free, that's like my time block. I can talk to you about anything you want me to talk to you about. Same with Roham, same with any person that's putting on an event, is you get access to that person and that community
Oh,
at
yeah.
the given time. When people charge like 30 minutes, like over $100, 30 minutes. Take advantage of that time.
Something else to say about that real quick, just because I've given this tip recently, and it's, look, if you're trying to connect with the Patryks in the room, because eventually Patryk's going to be a big name, what you need to do is go find his Roham. The way I worked with Ryan, like a lot of people would get to Ryan by connecting with me. Eventually Patryk's going to have his own version of Roham. And if you want to get to Patryk, you go connect with Patryk's guy at these events. Throwing this stuff. And yeah, that's exactly how you get your foot in the door to connect with these people and get advice and ask them the questions that have been burning inside you.
Appreciate it, man. And yeah, man, it's only as we put on more events, that's the goal, right? Is to get that access for people, to get them to really not educate as much, but you get it through the individual conversations. You get the education and inspiration and all that kind of stuff. So that's like the mini version of the higher events. So it's so worth even 2-3 hours. I know a lot of people get nervous about it, but it's 100% worth it. And one tip that I will give to the people that get nervous about going to a networking event, and I heard this from a mentor of mine when I was 18. And at 18 years old, I pretty much was really scared to get to networking events. I was in high school still. And my mentor told me you should go to networking events. I went downtown Chicago, which is a 40-minute train ride. I had my suit on. I had the whole 9 yards, scared as, and I called him. I remember calling him and telling him, why would people even want to talk to an 18-year-old? What do I really have to offer these people? Why would they spend the time talking to me? What, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Sure.
And I would walk in, and it's funny because they thought I was of age, maybe like in my 25s or something like that, because they wouldn't expect the 18-year-old in high school to be at the events.
Sure.
And what happened was my mentor basically told me, everybody is there for a reason. Find out that reason. And when I really thought about that quote, I realized, wow, there's a purpose that person is there. They're not going to run away from me, and they're there, and there's a pain that they have, and I can potentially solve that pain.
Yeah.
So really, I'm not wasting their time. If anything, I'm just trying to get to the root of the reason that they're there. So it's almost like I'm there to help them out, and maybe they can help me. So when I learned that people are there because they want to talk to people and there's a purpose, it became so much easier. So
I've had rookie students ask me that same thing, similar to that, where they're like, how do I maximize going to these networking events? And you know what you do? You really want to maximize it? You become the connector. You go to every person in the room and you say, hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. What do you do? What do you need help with? And they're like, oh, I'm a real estate investor. I need to get more deals. Okay, great. You go to the next person. Hey, what do you do? What do you need help with? I'm a wholesaler and I need to find more cash buyers. Do you know that guy? Hey, John, come here real quick. And then you connect them. And then John gets another wholesaler to send deals. You know, the other guy, the wholesaler, he gets another cash buyer, and they both look at you like, how'd you do that? And you're like, I just met you both and asked you what you need help with and put you together. And they're like, wow, that's huge. What can we do for you? And you're like, I'm trying to get my first deal. Where would you get started? But that's where you get the opportunity to ask questions and provide value, even if you're brand new, right? Because that's where a lot of people are like, dude, I don't even know what to help these guys with. If you don't know what to help them with, ask them what they want help with, and then go find the guy that can help them with that. You don't have to be the solution. You could be the connector, right? And
a lot of places to add value like that. And as you get to the next level where you put on your own events, what are some of the benefits that you've seen with events and being the main guy that's putting the event on? What are the benefits?
Yeah, the biggest benefits, really, to me, it's one thing, right? So the same way that you're the connector in that situation going to someone else's event, if you host your own event, you're the connector, not even talking to people, because they came to your event. They're like, wow, Patryk, thank you so much for hosting this. Thanks to me just showing up to your event, I got a private money lender who's willing to fund more of my deals. I found a real estate agent that can really help me understand my market better. I found contractors, I found lenders, I found all these different resources. Tell me, how can I help you? And you didn't even do anything. You didn't even talk to this guy. He's just coming up to you being like, I just met 18 awesome people that you haven't even met yet either, but they've got such a great experience coming to this. They're like, man, what value can I bring for you? Because I got so much out of just coming to this. And I always push people who are brand new, like, even if you've never done a deal before, try to have a real estate event. You can do them for free. Just host them at a local bar where they have happy hour after hours on a Monday or Thursday night where they don't have a lot of business going on. And then you're able to go get people there, just promote it online and put in some Facebook groups. And from there, just have people show up and network with each other and just see how they can help each other. And like, even if you're brand new, be the connector. And then that way you're at least going to get value for them. And then once they get that value, they're going to come back to you and say, what do you need help with? And so that's the biggest value, right? But like, on top of that, it's like, you need deals, you'll find wholesalers. You need money, you'll find people with money. You need agents, you'll find agents. Like, you need to hire people, you'll find people that want to work for you. So it's like social media in a way where like you're just casting a bigger net, right? To attract more of the things that can help you in your mission and your journey. And so that's what hosting those events can do for you.
100%. And that's the big thing, is you become the person of interest, right?
Yeah.
Like people,
You're the guy.
yeah, like you're the guy that put everything together, or the gal for that matter. And people come up to you with ways that they can help you. Like you said, it happens all the time. Sometimes people bring me deals. Sometimes people, I think the biggest thing and the biggest reason I do these events really is when people come up to me and say, hey, because of your event, I was able to close this deal, or get this much hard money, or I met this guy or this gal that allowed me to become a partner on this flip. It's just insane. I wish I had a counter for how much money is being made in that room, how many deals are being made in that room.
Totally.
When we put on like 100-person, like when we put on a 150-person conference, multiple days spending with the same people over and over again. I can't even imagine the kinds of things that happen that I probably will never know about. So it's just deep down, I know that it happens, and that just is enough to really just keep me moving forward.
And the other thing too about that, I'd say, and I have a question for you actually, but the first one is on the people at the event, right? Those people that come to these events, if you're willing to spend money or take time out of your schedule to go to a networking event or go to a real estate conference and pay for it, and you're making a sacrifice, that alone shows you, if someone's willing to make a sacrifice to improve themselves and improve their business, those are the types of people I want to be around. How many of your friends and family are making daily, weekly, monthly sacrifices with their time and with their money to improve themselves, to improve their businesses? And so I want to be around those people. I want to be around the people that want to get better. They're not just happy with where they're at.
100%.
And then a question for you, actually, if you don't mind, you and I throw your first event. What was your biggest takeaway from it? What did you get the most value out of hosting it from your first one?
Dang, you're twisting this on me. I'm not the guest. All jokes. Yeah. So I think the biggest takeaway that I had from the event was I realized even more how important access is. And what I mean by that is the people that, and I'm not just saying this because I want to upsell people on the next event or whatnot. It genuinely, the VIP versus general is night and day. It's crazy. The VIP people, here's the thing. I remember every VIP person that came. I don't remember every person that came that attended the event in itself. And that just goes to show that I know the full stories for all those people, because we were hanging out a lot more and we had a lot of intimate conversations, and we had the speakers there as well, and just having access to Sean charges for 15 minutes. He charges over $100. I think it's $500 for an hour. It's some ridiculous number. I don't even know what it is, but getting 15 minutes with him at VIP already pays off like part of your ticket. And so if you get a full hour, that's already half your ticket. It's crazy to me. And people still, and I see people exchanging phone numbers with Calvin from Rank Breeze, or it's just, what the
something funny. So I think you'll appreciate this, but for guys like Ryan, right? Once you get to high enough level, it's like Ryan doesn't really need to raise a lot more money. He doesn't need to get a couple more wholesalers. Like, he's got a big enough network, right? But what it does allow him is access as well. But the difference is the type of people he's getting access to now that he's a speaker. He's going to connect with the other speakers, right? The guys who are there who are also like going to the next level that can help him. So like, he was at an event recently for content where Gary Vee was there, and like, he gets to talk with Patryk Bet-David, and now he got to go to Patryk Bet-David's office, and Patryk even mentioned him on a video and a podcast he was in, and Ryan got his foot in the door just from speaking at someone else's event. And so the access thing is huge, even for the speakers. Like, they get to access the other speakers and get into their ecosystems. And like, dude, yeah, it's just connecting people. And like, I think
it's crazy. Like Haley too.
Everything going forward, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, like even Haley just being friends with Stephanie, like
Sure.
they just clicked. They met each other and it was just like they're best friends. It
Yeah.
was like what? And it's crazy because Stephanie and the people that don't know Haley runs Sean for Rats. I'm not even gonna try to
It's it.
pronounce. Ratskit, his pretty much whole operation of 200 plus properties is run by Haley. And Haley is like the mastermind operator behind it. And she vibes so much with Stephanie. They were on the same wavelength. And it was just really cool to see that because it was Stephanie would have never met her and I would have never met her if the event never was put
Sure.
on and we were there in person. And so we got benefit of networking in the VIP and talking to other speakers. And I have every contact information of all the speakers in my phone. I'm gonna hit them up at 3 a.m. No, I'm just kidding. But it's one of those things. It's really cool to just throw events, and it gives you an excuse at the end of the day. To here's the big thing, so that people don't know about is when we were putting on the STR Nation event, I had an excuse to message anybody. I mean, anybody in the industry. I even tried Ryan, and Ryan was just, okay, your needs to get a little bigger before I could speak at your back. But it gave me an excuse, and I can offer them something of value that other people can't offer. And that's the crazy thing. Even at the Future Flipper conference, the MC for the Future Flipper conference came up to me and was like, take my number. I want to speak at your event or be the MC at your event, blah, blah, blah. It's crazy because you're providing the space for them to speak at. That's valuable.
Totally.
And you bring the audience in together as well. And so
I think something else on top of that too is I'm not a big destiny guy. Like I don't believe everything's meant to happen for a reason. I just don't. But I think some people are destined to meet. So like me and you and Stephanie, absolutely. Stephanie, right. Haley, absolutely. And me and Ryan, right? I think we were destined to meet in ways. And so going to these events, guys, you will run into that person. How'd you meet Stephanie? Probably at an event or something like that, right? You need to go and surround yourself with people in that industry you want to be in to find the person you're destined to meet.
100%. And for the people that are just starting out with events, let's take it back to square one. How do you, from ground up, what would you do, Roham, if you came to a new city, let's say you're in Los Angeles, brand new city, you have to put on an event. Let's start with smaller events versus conference. How would you go about putting on the whole event?
Yeah, so I just moved here, right? I don't know if this is going to go well or not. I'm not trying to spend a lot of money on this. I'm going to try to do this for free. So that's my first plan, right? I'm not trying to spend anything on this. Let me see if I can throw the best event possible without spending a lot of money or breaking the bank. Because let's say you're 18 and just out of college or in college and you don't have a lot of money. Cool. I'm going to go find a couple local bars or restaurants first, ideally, because then they can provide food that people can pay for, ideally during a happy hour. So that way food and drinks are there. And if people want them, they can get them. But I'm not expected to bring food and water and alcohol and everything for everybody, right? So that's really nice. Now, something else you can do too, if you can't find any local bars or restaurants that'll be accommodating for you. And again, with these bars and restaurants, tell them, hey, I want to host a networking event here Monday through Thursday after 5 p.m. And that's usually like their dead time. And they're like, yeah, for sure. That's our dead time. We'd love to have 30, 40, 50, 100 people here to host them for an event like this, right? So they're always down for it. They won't charge you anything. Just say, hey, can we have an open bar? People just come in, pay for their own food and drinks. And usually if you find a local place, that'll be great. If you can't find a restaurant for whatever reason, you can go to local title companies. They usually have event spaces or education spaces that can be converted to a networking cocktail mixer area. Real estate brokerages. Some brokerages host events like that in their own offices. Talk to other local investors and say, hey, I'd love to partner with you and host a networking event, maybe at one of your properties, at a flip, at an Airbnb, any kind of properties that you might work with or an office of yours. So there's a ton of ways to find free venues. Those would be my suggestions. Great. We have an idea of what venue we want to do. Now it's setting a day and time, ideally after 5 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. Most investors take the weekend to hang out, relax, spend time with the family, decompress. Mondays, 9 to 5, they're in their office working with their team. So the best times are Monday through Thursday after 5 o'clock, 5 to 8. Then once you have that day and time set, give yourself enough time to promote it. So I'd say at least 2 weeks. Try not to go further out than 2 to 4 weeks though, because then people aren't going to put it on their calendar. And then once you have a date, you have a venue, now you want to make a flyer. Go on Canva, make a cool little flyer, free real estate investing meetup on November 30th at 5 p.m. at In-N-Out Burger in LA. Here's the address. We're going to meet here at this time. open to all real estate professionals. Great. Now I have a flyer. I made it on Canva or whatever. Now I'm going to go promote it. So now I'm going to go on Facebook, join a bunch of LA Facebook groups, look up Los Angeles real estate investors, Los Angeles real estate wholesalers, Los Angeles real estate agents, Los Angeles real estate lenders. Then I'm going to go and post that flyer in each of those and say, hey, I'm hosting a free networking event in LA in 2 weeks for anyone interested in real estate. Here's a Google form link to RSVP. And then they RSVP for it, just saying what's their name, what's their phone number, what's their email, what their experience is, if they're a real estate professional, how many deals they've done, and what they're looking for. And then now I also get a database, a list of people to invite to the next one. So now for my next event, I go take my first list, I email all those guys my new flyer and say, hey, we're having our next event next month, bring a friend. And now my events start to grow. And I do that again. They all RSVP, rinse and repeat. So you could do an event like that 30
That
days.
was epic. Holy crap. You just exposed my whole strategy. That's literally what I did from ground up. And I haven't even told you what I did from ground up. I feel like this is just, that was golden. Holy crap. Yeah.
Because I have so many students who I push to do events. They're like, how do I do an event? I'm like, that's exactly what I would do. And so then now they're starting to throw events and you'll see them popping up all over. So if you see like a Future Flipper event in your area, that's why.
Yep. And I've actually been to Future Flipper event, and I've partnered with Future Flipper on an event in San Diego before the
Oh.
Bigger Pockets conference with
With
LG.
With LJ, nice, love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I helped him throw those events, so that
Yep.
was it's cool. And it's cool
Full
seeing
circle.
like for him when he started out, he was a real estate agent and blew up more just from starting to throw these little events. He's like, oh, I got my first wholesaler at his first event. I'm like, dude, no way. He's like, a couple days later, he's like, Roham, I got 2 deals from this first event. Wholesaler. I'm like, all you did was throw this free event. You got 2 deals and you made 10, 20K on each of those deals.
Yeah.
So awesome. That's so
That is awesome. And that just shows the power of networking and the power of just being around other people that are doing it. Wow, that was great. That was perfect. So let's talk about bigger events. Obviously, bigger events.
Yeah.
The free events was more so easy breezy. We did it ourselves, but we had to hire the big guns, aka Roham here, to do the conference. Tell us a little bit about what goes into a conference and how that's different.
Sure. It takes a lot more planning, right? This is a lot more than just find a venue and promotion, right? Because that's really what it comes down to for a networking event. Find a cool venue, promote it. Usually it's going to go well if you get the right people there because they'll go in. The best part of it is like going to those Facebook groups, actually getting real estate guys to attend. And now new people come and like they get the value of agents being there, the investors being there, the wholesalers being there, right? With these big conferences, trying to host major events where people are paying to attend and you're planning to make profit off ticket sales, that's a different animal. That's going to take a lot more work, planning, and preparation for the most part, because it's much more about the experience overall than just, hey, did you get some cool networking out of this? And for me, that boils down back to a couple fundamentals. So now there's education involved, right? With networking events, you don't need to have guest speakers, but if you're hosting an event, a 2-3 day conference, people need to come out of this event to solve a problem, right? To help them become a better Airbnb host, to help them get their first Airbnb, to help them scale their Airbnb business, right? For example, for STR Nation, for Future Flipper, it's how to get into becoming a real estate investor, how to improve your real estate investing business. And the education is super important there. Now, the education, the cool thing is if you're brand new, you don't have to be the one educating, right? You can go find guys like Patryk to come speak at your events. You can go find guys like Brian Davila to come speak at your events. And you can find these guys who will come and be happy to share some game for your guys to help grow this community and promote it. And then that's the first part, right? Finding quality educators and speakers, which you guys for your first conference did an incredible job with your speaker lineup. The people you got brought so much value. It was amazing to see that for your first event.
Awesome.
And for a lot of guys, like one, finding the right guy to come speak and provide value, that's going to make a huge difference on the overall impact of the event. And then 2, the experience, because it's not so much, hey, this is a 2-3 hour thing. This is like a full day event. You're taking care of these people for a full day. So you want to make sure you've accommodated and given them plenty of time to plan for what the day is going to look like, make sure that they have a clear idea of what their lunch plans will be for the day. If you're going to have after parties to promote networking, where's that going to be? And like, it takes a lot more than just that one venue now. And like beyond all that stuff, you have the experience itself, whether you're talking about the merch and the signs and name tags and making sure all that stuff's there. If you're going to give away stuff like t-shirts, if you're going to have vendors and sponsors and making sure they have booths and cool things to give out at their booths and information to share. And
with all the vendors and all the
coordinating with your event space. And
yeah.
dude, we're not even talking about AV. AV is insane, especially when you get to those big conferences, dealing with the high levels of dealing with all the different speakers and their presentations and making sure that you're able to get them on a screen so everyone can see them and that's being recorded and that you're capturing all these moments. And you have some people doing virtual events now where people can attend a live stream version of the event itself, which Future Flipper's doing. And a lot goes into those. And so if you want to host a big event and big conference, I think the first thing is one, finding a good event coordinator, right? Finding someone who understands the details that go into this stuff. And like they already can account and say, hey, I have a t-shirt guy, I have a sign guy, I have a couple venues in town that I think could be a good fit for X, Y, and Z. Or if they don't have venues, they know where to look for venues, right? So finding that first event coordinator. Two, the education itself, making sure that the event you have, the speakers you have, they line up and hit that goal. So if I went to Patryk's Airbnb short-term rental event and we had guys there speaking about wholesaling or multifamily, it does not align as much with Airbnb. I am not getting what I wanted out of this conference because I'm there for one specific reason, to learn how to be better at Airbnb. So making sure that you have a quality list of speakers to come and to present, or it might be you presenting yourself. So if that's the case, what do you have to share, right? And so making sure you have sound information that's ready and presentable to give out to people. And beyond that, it's the marketing and promotion, right? And the cool thing is you can go partner with the people that are coming to speak at your event, to promote your event, help sell tickets, and then just making sure that you're organized and prepared. And you really dig deep on making sure that these people have such an amazing experience on those three levels, right? Making sure they get a quality education, making sure they get great networking out of this event, and making sure they come out of this feeling pumped up and motivated. And they're not going to feel that way if you told them there was lunch and there's no lunch, or if you got the lunch and it's garbage. So you need to make sure the experience overall is really great so that they can really dive deeper in the networking and the education because they feel full and happy from lunch and not hungry and fidgety and hangry. And so like the overall. Right. And so if you yourself can put yourself in that position, I want to make this experience so good as if I was attending here, then you're going to be in a great path for success for throwing big conferences. And also too, sponsors, right? Getting sponsors there that provide great value to the people there. So that way it doesn't cost you as much to host these events. And then also, what's the event for, right? Are you trying to upsell them into your coaching programs? Are you trying to build a community? Okay, cool. What goes beyond the community? Now, what do they do now that they've come to the event? What's the next step? So having a clear next step outline, whether it's joining one of your programs or launching a new initiative that you're starting or whatever the goal is, it's that if you're having all these people, you have a very powerful opportunity to push these people one direction, whether it's to join something that you're starting or check out a new free thing that's working and you think is going to be the new cool thing to take out. There's a lot of stuff, but having that next step for the event would be another thing I would consider too.
Yeah, 100%. And for us, this is our first event, so we didn't have that next step. Yeah. However, we did grow our community. We did have some new faces join, and it was awesome. So
the goal for you guys, right? It was
for us,
to build your brand, to really recognize and make STR Nation not just a LLC that you and Stephanie started, but actually something that means something to people, right? So people are now talking about, wow, I went to this really amazing event hosted by STR Nation. Now that means something, right? Versus starting an LLC and owning.
Apparently people are still talking about it. Even some of the sponsors, the word gets out and sponsors come to me and I'm like, oh, when's the next event? Next year. So gotta wait. Cool. And cool. I want to take you, Roham, into the last 3 questions and wrap it up here. So first question, for your students that you have, what advice would you give to somebody that's just starting out in real estate and wants to get that first deal? You've coached so many students and I feel like you'd be the best to answer this.
Love that. Lately, because it's changed as I've grown as a coach and mentor, and lately it's become pick one deal type, right? Select one thing that you're going to do. So if you want to be a wholesaler, great. That's all you're going to do. You can't let yourself open up to too many boxes. If you're going to be a flipper, great. That's all you're going to do. At least starting out for a year, right? Get 5 to 10 deals just doing that one strategy. So Airbnb, flipping, wholesaling, BRRRR method, whatever it is, one of those strategies, because people spread themselves too thin trying to do everything starting out. And then one marketing channel to get you those deals, right? Because everyone tries to do all the marketing channels and then they don't find success with any. So if I were you personally, I'd probably start with an active income strategy to help you make more money to quit your job. So flip, wholesale, maybe become a realtor if that's something you're interested in. If not, then definitely don't do it. It's a lot of work and you have to care about helping people. And if you're not willing to do that, start with the first two. But then once you pick one of those two, okay, now how do I want to get deals? Do I want to go cold call and text? Do I want to make offers on the MLS? Do I want to go do direct mail, right? Do I want to do bandit signs? Pick one thing for at least 90 days, see if you get results. And as you go through the 90 days, what you need to do is increase your output. So let's say day 0 to day 30, you're like, all right, I'm going to cold call. So you're like, I'm going to cold call 2 hours a day. After 30 days, if you don't get any leads, now you just know, hey, it's not that cold calling doesn't work. I might need to do more cold calling, right? So now for day 30, day 60, you're going to double it. You're going to go from 2 hours a day to 4 hours a day. Now you're like, oh, wow, I got some leads. Okay, cool. This is working. And if it's not working, you're going to double it again, right? And go from 4 to 8 hours a day and then see if that works, right? Because a lot of times people don't realize the method that they wanted to use would work if they just did more of it or enough of it. So for 90 days, at least committing to, hey, I'm going to do these actions every day and then double it every month if I don't see the results. And then after 90 days, if you decide, hey, I don't love cold calling, I'm not getting great results from it, I want to explore this other strategy that I've had in mind, cool, but you have to approach it that same way, or else you won't find success just bouncing from marketing strategy to marketing strategy and deal strategy to deal strategy. You have to pick one thing, you have to pick one way of finding deals and what you're going to do with those deals. And that's it. That's your bread and butter till you do 5 to 10 deals like that, make some money, and now you can explore and expand upon other marketing strategies, other deal types.
What's your advice to people that are trying to start an event per se?
Ooh, trying to host an event, connect with someone with a brand already, right? Go find a guy like Patryk, go find a guy like Stephanie or a girl like Stephanie, go find guys that are in those ecosystems that can help promote what you want to do. And if they're willing to say, hey, yeah, I'll be happy to come speak at your event. Great. Would you love to promote the event? And if you promoted it, we'll give you an affiliate link because, you know, a lot of the websites that you work with to sell event tickets will do that stuff. And then if Patryk sells any events to his community or his followers, he'll get a, if you're brand new and you have no following, go find guys that would be willing to come host this event. And that's something we did with STR Nation, offered speakers the ability to go be event affiliates. And so that way you can rely on their brand and their network to get more attendees, right? So if you're going to just throw your first events, partner with people who already have a brand.
And even the networking events, it's good to just have a speaker on.
Totally.
They help promote it for free usually.
100%. Because like a lot of people will go just because you're going. People that went to the STR Nation event would be like, I want to go because I know Patryk had some game that he didn't share at the last event. Let me go, because they'll see your name attached to it. And wow, it makes it more credible for them.
So Roham, what's your favorite book and why?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you ask that on everyone?
That one, yeah.
I love that one.
And it doesn't have, it could be a fictional book if you like. Doesn't have anything, it doesn't have to have anything to do with real estate investing.
I would say my favorite book personally is The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho. Have you read that one? I've read that book like 3 times, and every time I read it, I get like a whole different message out of it. It's so weird because I've never read a book like that where like most books you read, it's like there's a very clear message and intent behind what you're supposed to get out of this book knowledge. The Alchemist is one of those books where like every time I read it, I find like a whole new meaning out of the book that like I had no idea or inkling of the first time or the second time I read it. So that is my favorite book, and that's why, because there's no other book that I've ever read that I've gotten multiple interpretations out of the book just rereading the same book. So that would be my favorite book, and why.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one. I've heard Rich Dad Poor Dad a lot.
That's like your kindergarten book for real estate investors. So it's everyone needs to read Rich Dad Poor Dad just to understand. What's yours?
Oh, that's for another episode.
But you have to answer this one, right? What's your why? Because you're a lot like me, 25. You got super motivated to get into real estate at a young age. You went the corporate route and had a job, and you're like, this is not the way. Real estate is what I want to do, work for myself. So what pushed you? Because most people can't even get to where you're at, to be honest. They don't have the drive to push themselves through it and go through the hard times of not having the comfortable paycheck coming in. So what was the why for you? I'm just curious now that you know mine.
To really just fight as much as possible. Happiness, freedom of time and happiness go hand in hand to me. Perfect. And quite frankly, I'm a shit employee. So I have no other options. That's just what I had to do to survive, because every other employer was sick of my ass. And I don't know. It's one of those things. But my why definitely carries me, which is giving back and helping other people and never having to worry about money and being financially free and being able to enjoy life to the fullest. Time is more important to me than money ever will be. And I'm so happy right now. So
just both resonate with that a little bit. We're both in a point where like we're a lot happier than we've been doing other things before. And like I
Right.
just want to share the happiness that this has given me a little more, and like the mental freedom that real estate's provided me, because I'm not worried about, oh, what's the next 5 to 10 years of my life going to look like? I already know. I already know it's a lot of
Yeah.
work for real estate, right? Like it's just a lot of work, but I feel good about it because I'm in control. I feel like a lot of people have given up control in their lives a little bit because they're just cool with what their boss pays them and they're cool with the circumstances that they're
Waiting
in.
for the weekend and
Yeah.
waiting
And so
for,
like,
or people now are so excited. Oh my God, Wednesday's off. I can't wait.
ah,
And I'm
dude,
like, I don't even know what week it is or what day it is.
I like to
I'm just
look
happy to
forward.
be here.
I like to look forward to the Monday again, right? I want something that's going to excite me to come back into work again. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm excited to get like everyone needs breaks. Everyone needs time off. Everyone needs to take some time to clear their thoughts and reset. But you should be excited to come back in and accomplish the next big thing and hit the next big goal. And if you're not, you're probably not doing what you should be doing.
And so last question, Roham, for you.
Cool.
What's the future look like for Roham? What is he up to? What's new with what you're trying to accomplish?
Totally. I'm taking a little bit of time off. Like I told you, I'm taking some time for the end of this year just to really spend time with.
Isn't it
Oh,
beautiful how you have time to do that?
it is. It's funny because my friends are like, you can do that. And I'm like, I have enough money. My job lets me. So yeah, I can, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't realize people couldn't. Like it's a weird, like obviously, like financially, sure. But yeah, most employers aren't like, oh yeah, it's cool for you to take a month off. They're like, dude, you need to be here. I'm very fortunate to
How
be able
long are you taking off?
just 30 days, 30 days. And for me, just a mental reset to like really work on personal development more outside of real estate, get my fitness back in check, get my health back in check, spend more time with my family and really enjoy the time I have with my grandparents while they're still around, and enjoy the holidays a little. Because for the last 3 years, I've just been super going. I need to take a break and reevaluate my life
Yeah.
and where I want to be in the next couple of years and like what it's going to take to get there. And so I think for me in the future, this next 30 days are going to be huge just to really identify a lot for me and like clear, so give me clarity. But on top of that, I think for next year, my main focus is going to be going from making more active income, because that's been my main focus, to doing a blend of active income and more long-term strategies like the BRRRR method, like seller financing, because those are a lot more complicated for new investors to get started with, but I'm very familiar with them and it's cool. I've gone and flipped and wholesaled, and those are great ways to make money, but I'd rather start building a portfolio and start really going the long route and creating cash flow and creating more opportunities where if I wanted to take time off just to take time off, I have properties that are cash flowing that I don't need to be tied to making active income to hit my financial goals. So that's my main focus for next year, is just probably getting more into the BRRRR method, potentially burning some Airbnbs. Might need to hit you up for that, and some seller finance deals as well. And deals I don't want, just wholesaling to other investors, and then keeping what I do want to build a portfolio.
Awesome. Yeah. And so where can people reach you if they want to maybe help out or know of a deal or something, or just want to ask you a question?
Yeah, sure. Hit me up on Instagram. That's usually the best way to find me. It's Roham, Roham, as in Mark. Then my last name is Haghani, Haghani. And it's just my first name, last name, no underscore or anything. You can find me on Instagram. I have one picture right now. We'll get the content going soon. But yeah, hit me up, shoot me a DM. Feel free to reach out with any questions.
Yeah. Not in the next 30 days though. He's doing
Yeah, not in the next 30 days. Back to you January 1st. So feel free to shoot the message.
This
But
this
20,
probably won't even be live until then, so you'll be all good. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Roham, so much for sharing your knowledge as always, dropping bombs. And I appreciate you, man. You're in a side of real estate that a lot of people don't get to see. So
thank you.
keep doing what you're doing.
And for me, like I'm trying to do more content and help share what I know more for more people. So thank you for hosting me on my first appearance on a podcast. So this is
Yeah.
awesome. Get my foot in the door, and I love that it's with you, because I think you and I are going to build some great stuff together in the future as we go. Thank you again. I
100%.
appreciate you.